echo of time. Unlock the past. Challenge the narrative.
Atlantis. The Lost Empire, truth, myth, or ancient memory. They say Atlantis was a myth, a story told by philosophers to teach moral lessons, a cautionary tale of arrogance and power swallowed by the sea. But what if it wasn't? What if buried beneath layers of time and distortion lies a real memory of an ancient civilization so advanced, so powerful, that its fall reshaped human history forever? For over 2 millennia, scholars, explorers, and dreamers have searched for it, from the depths of the Atlantic to the deserts of North Africa. NASA satellites, oceanic sonar, and even genetic data have hinted at lost chapters of our past. Could Atlantis have actually existed? Not as a myth, but as the echo of a forgotten age? Tonight we dive deeper than ever before, through myth, science, archaeology, and history, to uncover the truth behind one of humanity's oldest mysteries. This is Atlantis, the Lost Empire, truth, myth, or ancient memory. Chapter 1. The Origins of a Legend. The story begins not in the sea, but in the mind of one man, Plato, the philosopher. Around 360 BCE, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, Plato describes a vast and powerful island nation, Atlantis. According to him, it lay beyond the Pillars of Heracles, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. It was larger than Libya and Asia combined, a land blessed with wealth, resources, and technology unknown to the rest of the ancient world. Its people were said to be descendants of the god Poseidon, builders of temples plated in gold, rulers of 10 kingdoms, masters of sea and science. They possessed canals stretching across plains and fleets that could cross oceans. But Plato wasn't writing geography, and he was teaching morality. He wrote that the Atlanteans grew greedy and corrupt, their divine nature fading into ambition and conquest. They sought to dominate the Mediterranean, until the virtuous Athenians rose to stop them. And then, in a single day and night of misfortune, Atlantis sank beneath the waves. A powerful story, but also a puzzle. Because Plato didn't claim he invented it. He said he heard it from Solon, the famous Athenian lawmaker, who heard it from Egyptian priests during his travels centuries earlier. So if that's true, did the Egyptians preserve a memory of a real civilization destroyed long before written history? The line between myth and memory suddenly blurs. Chapter 2. Clues from the Deep Past. To understand Atlantis, we must journey back to a time before recorded civilization. Archaeologists once believed that complex societies only began around 5,000 years ago, with Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley. But in the last few decades, that timeline has shattered. Sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dated to 12,000 years ago, show monumental architecture built before the invention of the wheel or writing. Vast stone circles, carved animals, and astronomical alignments, all from a supposedly primitive age. Then came underwater discoveries. Off the coast of India, near Dwarka, sonar scans revealed submerged ruins resembling city grids. In Yonaguni, Japan, massive underwater terraces and staircases seemed cut by human hands. Near Cuba, deep-sea imaging picked up what looked like pyramidal structures 2,000 feet below the surface. Scientists remain divided, natural formations or human design. But if even one of these is real, it means civilizations far older and more advanced than we ever imagined. Now let's connect the dots. Plato wrote that Atlantis fell around 9,000 years before his time, roughly 11,600 years ago. That date matches something extraordinary, the end of the last ice age, a time when sea levels rose more than 400 feet. Whole land masses disappeared, coastlines redrew themselves, and entire cultures living along what were once fertile continental shelves may have drowned. Could this be the real flood remembered in myths across the world? From Noah's Ark, to the Epic of Gilgamesh, to the flood legends of the Maya, all tell of a world lost to water. Coincidence or cultural memory passed down for millennia? Chapter 3. Rise of an Empire. Let's imagine the world 12,000 years ago. The Ice Age was ending. Melting glaciers sent rivers surging through valleys and plains, and in coastal areas, now buried underwater, humans may have gathered, traded, and built. What kind of civilization could rise in such a world? If Plato's account has even a kernel of truth, Atlantis was both technologically advanced and spiritually powerful. It had a central city, concentric rings of land and water connected by bridges. At its heart stood a temple to Poseidon, gleaming with gold and orichalcum, a mysterious metal shining like fire. Scholars have long debated what orichalcum was. Modern analysis of ingots found off Sicily shows an alloy of copper, zinc, and lead, something akin to early brass. That means Plato's description might not have been fantasy at all, but an echo of early metallurgy. Atlantis in this light becomes more than legend. It becomes a symbol of the first great maritime culture, a thalassocracy, a sea empire controlling trade between continents. Some theorists suggest it could have linked the Mediterranean with the Americas long before recorded history. Evidence? Ancient maps like the Piri Reis map, drawn in 1513 but showing accurate coastlines of Antarctica beneath the ice. Knowledge no one in that era should have had. It hints at older, inherited data, perhaps from a forgotten global civilization whose maps survived the cataclysm. Chapter 4, The Breaking Point. But every empire has a breaking point. Plato describes the Atlanteans' downfall as moral corruption, their greed and hunger for power drawing divine punishment. Yet science offers another explanation: catastrophe. Around 12,800 years ago, something drastic happened. Geological evidence shows a sudden drop in temperatures, the Younger Dryas event. Within just years, Earth's climate plunged back into near Ice Age conditions. The cause? A growing body of research points to a comet impact, fragments striking North America and Europe. This theory, called the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, suggests a cosmic disaster melted glaciers, triggered floods, and plunged civilizations into chaos. Imagine colossal tsunamis racing across coasts. Cities drowned, agriculture wiped out, survivors scattered. If Atlantis existed along now submerged continental shelves, say near the Azores or the Mediterranean basin, it would have vanished overnight. To those who survived, it would have seemed as if the gods had destroyed a mighty empire, and in time that memory would harden into myth. Chapter 5. Aftermath and Echoes in History. After the cataclysm, global civilization seems to reset. Humanity enters a dark age, the Mesolithic. Hunter-gatherers reclaim the land, while scattered survivors pass down fragments of a story they can barely comprehend. Yet something remarkable happens. Within a few thousand years, civilization reawakens, but not in just one place. In Mesopotamia, Sumerians build ziggurats aligned with the stars. In Egypt, massive stone temples rise along the Nile, their earliest forms appearing suddenly and fully developed. In the Andes, the Corral civilization emerges with complex architecture and musical instruments. And across the ocean, the Olmecs, then the Maya, and later the Aztecs speak of gods who came from across the sea, bringing knowledge of mathematics, agriculture, and the calendar. It's as if pockets of ancient memory reignited human progress, as if the Atlantean spark survived. The Greeks remembered it as Atlantis, the Egyptians as Zep-Tepi, the first time when gods walked among men. The Sumerians called it the Age of Dilmun, the paradise lost to the flood. Different names, same story. Could all these myths stem from the same event, the fall of a real ancient world? Chapter 6. The Search for Atlantis. For centuries, explorers have hunted Atlantis, across continents and oceans. In the 1500s, Spanish conquistadors believed the Americas themselves were the lost world. In the 19th century, Ignatius Donnelly's best-selling book, Atlantis, The Antediluvian World, argued that all ancient civilizations descended from it. He pointed to similarities in pyramid architecture, myths, and symbols across continents. Then came the 20th century, and with it, technology. Sonar mapping of the ocean floor revealed hidden mountain ranges, plateaus, and trenches. Some looked eerily like the remains of continents, especially near the Azores, exactly where Plato placed Atlantis. Modern researchers like Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock have reignited debate, arguing that mainstream history underestimates the age and sophistication of humanity. They suggest that advanced civilizations may have risen before the Ice Age, and Atlantis was one of them. But academia resists. Mainstream archaeologists dismiss Atlantis as allegory. They argue there's no definitive evidence, only coincidence and pseudoscience. Still, the evidence mounts. Massive megalithic ruins like Baalbek and Pumapunku, built with precision still hard to explain. Genetic studies hinting at mysterious migrations 10,000 years ago. Ancient maps containing knowledge predating known cartography. Is this all fantasy? Or are we seeing fragments of a forgotten epic, scattered across time like shattered glass? Chapter 7. Atlantis and Modern Parallels. Now let's look in the mirror. Atlantis wasn't just about technology, it was about hubris, a civilization that mastered nature until nature struck back. Sound familiar? Today we face our own rising seas, melting ice, and environmental collapse. Our global cities line the same coast that could flood within centuries, or sooner. In fact, over 600 million people live in areas projected to be underwater by 2100. If Atlantis is more than myth, if it's a warning, then we are reliving its final chapter. Modern satellite imagery even shows submerged ruins along ancient coastlines now hundreds of feet deep. We call them anomalies, but perhaps they're reminders, not of fantasy, but of forgetting. And the parallels don't end there. Plato wrote that Atlantis fell because it turned away from its moral center, trading virtue for domination. He described it as a society of luxury, exploitation, and arrogance. Our own age, for all its brilliance, echoes that same pattern, advanced, interconnected, but fragile. Technological progress racing faster than wisdom, a planet at the edge of balance. If Atlantis fell overnight, could we?